Influenza, also known as flu, is a disease caused by an RNA virus. Common symptoms include fever, headache, sore throat, runny nose, and more. This disease is dangerous and should be considered atop the World Health Organization's list of priorities. Flu season occurs in the winter when there are the most infections. As you can see on the graph, historically, the month of January is the most infectious for the U.S. There have been 3 major outbreaks in the world in the 20th century. Those 3 outbreaks resulted in the loss of tens of millions of lives, and more outbreaks will happen in the future. In 1918, there was a global pandemic, and more than 500 million people were infected with influenza. This was about 1/3 of the world's population. The mortality rate was 10%, more than 100 times higher than the usual mortality rate of less dangerous strains. It only took 25 amino acid mutations for the H1N1 strain to mutate into the Spanish flu, which is the deadly strain that caused the 1918 pandemic. More recently, we've had the H5N1 scare, which proves that the threat of influenza still exists and is here to stay. The deadly strain, closely related to avian flu, had a 61% mortality rate and killed several hundred people in Asia before seemingly disappearing. One of the reasons influenza is such a dangerous virus is because it's constantly mutating. This means it's always changing, so an influenza vaccine one year will be irrelevant next year because the virus will have changed. I guess you can say we just can't get a grip on it. According to the magazine Modern Healthcare, the U.S. currently does not have a sufficient plan to care for the more than 74 million children currently living in the U.S. if an influenza epidemic were to occur. This means that we're unprepared, and as we know, plans are the key to controlling outbreaks once they occur. This is why we need $150 million in order to create better plans to prepare for the occurrence of an outbreak. We also need more research to better predict strains to include in the flu vaccines. And lastly, it's very important that we increase our overall ability to create vaccines so that everyone is able to be vaccinated.